Hello everybody, this is Mr. Yosef. We're going to review factoring. The way that this video is going to be set up is different. I have these 7 problems in front of you, and you can kind of fast forward or rewind and look at the problems that you feel like you need to work on. I'm trying to provide examples for different types of factoring. I will not solve zeros for these. I'm just going to focus on factoring. So this first example is a trinomial with an a greater than 1. So what you need to know when you see something in ax squared plus bx plus c form is that you can always start with 2 parentheses. And you have to be really comfortable with distributive property because when you distribute, you get something like 5x squared minus 18x plus 9, and we're kind of going backwards by factoring. So whenever I do these problems, I just try to look at facts. So I can recall that 9 is called my product, and negative 18 is called my sum. So I want to find 2 numbers that multiply to positive 9 and add to negative 18. So when we normally do this, we don't really think about what this 5 does. But here, this 5 is going to have an effect on our problem. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on something that we can take care of right away, which is 5x squared. So in these first 2 slots, these 2 numbers need to multiply to 5x squared. And there's only one option to do this, which is 5x and x, because 5x times x gives us 5x squared. And that's the first part of this process. And the next example, you'll see it'll be a little harder because it'll be a 6, so we'll have more options. But here is only 5 and 1. For the next part, we're going to look at the number 9 and just list out all the ways to multiply to 9. And I want to have a positive 9, and I want the numbers to add to a negative 18. So when I think about my signs in this problem, I know it has to be both negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and when I add two negative numbers, it's also going to give me a negative number. So I kind of have a hint there that it's going to be 2 negative signs. And the strange part about this problem, or sometimes what's confusing, is the effect on this 5. These 2 numbers in blue have to multiply to positive 9. However, when you're looking at negative 18, it's going to be 5x times some number minus some number to get 18. So this 5 is going to affect our sum. So let's think about this. I have an option of 1 and 9 or 3 and 3. I definitely do not want to put a 9 here because 5 times 9 is going to give me 45, and that's going to be too big if I put a 1 there. So this is not going to work because I'm going to get negative 45. Negative 45 minus 1x, and as you can see, that's not going to give us negative 18. So I'm just going to undo that and think about what numbers actually fit better. So let's say that I put a 3 here. So 5x times negative 3 is negative 15x. And then I know this number has to be a 3 because negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So I'll have a negative 3x here. And that's negative 15x minus 3x. That gives me negative 18x. So I'm all smiles here because that's what I want in the middle. And negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So I'm also smiles there. So this is the way that you do this, is you just really think about this 5, what does it affect in the problem? The 5 is going to affect the sum, which is negative 18. But when you try to see which 2 numbers multiply to 9, as you can see, negative 3 times negative 3 gives you 9. The 5 doesn't really have an impact on that. So that is the first example of factoring with a greater than 1. So next, we're going to try to do one where a is not a prime number. So let's see if this will erase beautifully, which you would think I have the biggest, oh, that's why, because I didn't pick the biggest eraser. Okay, so next we're going to do number 2, which is 6x squared minus 37x plus 6. You just want to get in a habit of labeling, oh, product, sum. And this time, your first number is a 6. So the issue with this is there are 2 options. You can have a 3x times 2x or 6x times x. So this is when it gets tricky and you have to use your intuition with numbers. So I know I need 2 numbers that multiply to 6, which is 3 times 2 and 6 times 1, and somehow they need to add up to negative 37. And as you can see, 37 is a bigger number in comparison to 6. And so that's why I get suspicious, and I might want to start on the bottom because I know that, let me just erase this real quick. I know that this 6 is going to multiply a number here. And I know that in my head that 6 times 6 is 36. So that's kind of suspicious. Like, oh, I think this might work. You know, I don't want to try 3 and 2 right away because I can't. 3 times nothing is going to give me like that 36, which is going to give me near 37. So here, I will put a 6 because I know that these 2 numbers need to multiply to a positive 6 and add to a negative 37. So 6 times 6 is 36x. And I'm going to go ahead and make that minus since I want a minus 37. And can I put a negative 1 here, which will give me negative 1. And do you see that negative 36x minus 1x is negative 37? And that negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. So some students will say, how do I know which one to pick? Like maybe I wouldn't see it that way. It's just kind of trial and error. I just tried it. I looked and I knew in my head that 6 times 6 was 36, so I felt like that would be a good spot to try. And I think the good thing about this is you can always check your work. You can always distribute and see if it gets you that answer. So that would be my recommendation, is kind of look at the numbers, see which one makes sense, and then just try it. And if it doesn't work, you have a different option and you just keep trying until you get the answer. And it might take a little longer at the beginning, but eventually you'll get quicker at it.